So hopefully I won't pay the price for that. So many people in this queue. There'll be a lot more people on the boat, of course, because it's just come from Millport just now. There we go. I've brought a jacket today. I don't know if I'll need it, but might as well. Dave. There we go. Ready to go. Perfect day. And that's the Waverley just berthing now. I better get back in the queue and get ready.
We ask all passengers who have just joined us at Brodick to please listen carefully to the following safety announcement. In the unlikely event of an emergency, an alarm signal consisting of 7 or more short blasts, followed by one longer blast, will be sounded on the ship's whistle and alarm bells. On reading the signal, you should proceed immediately to the nearest assembly station, identified by square green and white signs, with arrows pointing inwards to sites depicting a family group. At an assembly station, you will be issued a life jacket and instructed on how to wear it. Smaller life jackets are available for children. At all times, you should remain calm and follow the instructions of crew. Please take care as you move around the ship today. Children should be supervised at all times and never lifted above the height of the ship's railings. Nurse belongings should not be left unattended at any time. If any passengers require to collect tickets on today's cruise, the purchase office will be opening shortly and you'll find the purchase office on the promenade deck just behind the funnels. Thank you very much and enjoy your cruise with us today.
Okay, there we go. That's us just left Brodick Terminal, Brodick Pier, and we're on our cruise right round Isle of Arran. It's a sellout, I'm told, and it's a lovely day for it. Very lucky. Like I say, I booked this about a week and a half ago, not knowing what the weather was going to be like. I just thought it was important to see this, because it's been a decade since they had a right round Arran cruise. So I'm glad to be on it. That's the paddle, just going into the opposite direction now, because we've just pulled away from the pier. We're far away from it enough now that they're starting to go forwards, and that answers my first question, which is this: which way round Arran are we going? Anti-clockwise or clockwise? North or south? And in this case, clearly the answer is north, anti-clockwise, because we're now heading towards Cumbrae and Sannox. So I'm on the right side of the boat to get the view all the way around the whole trip, if I'm right. What a smashing view. I'll just close in the pier a bit. Brodick Pier and Terminal. And the big bus station behind. A bit closer in there. All the big hotels, the co-op, Billsland's shop, in the centre of Brodick, just coming into view now. With the hills behind. I don't think you realise sometimes just how hilly it is. That's Glencloy Valley there. Big hills all the way around. Of course, Brodick itself means Broad Bay. Brodick's the main town in Arran. It isn't the biggest population. It's got a population of nearly 900. Lash is the biggest by population, but Brodick's got the most facilities, including the Arran Hotel, 2 swimming pools, leisure facilities, the big co-op, So many shops and restaurants. Wow. I'll just turn back round to you. There we go. Isn't that lovely? I'll lean over a wee bit. There we go. Goat fell up there. And Brodick Castle just below it, all covered in scaffolding because it's getting work done on the walls and the chimneys. Try and focus on that a bit as well. Goat fell. And hopefully you can just see the castle there. Oh, what a day. So lucky. And it just shows what good speed this boat can do, because we're already pulling out of Brodick and heading quite quickly towards Corrie, and we've only been on the go a few minutes. It really has got a good speed, this vessel.
Waverley now leaves Brodick Bay with the more familiar vision of Goat Fell in our own hand. Brodick Castle, the property of the National Trust for many a long year, now makes its presence felt in a rather different form than normal, receiving much care and attention at this time, although still open to the public. Now we'll see Goat Fell from varying angles around the coast of Arran today. This, as I say, being the more familiar. So we will get some unique corners of it as we cruise on.
Okay. Underway.
I would suggest today that if you're interested in photography from the Waverley, such as the way of mobile phones and all that nowadays, you can get instant pictures. Here we are with the classic Goat Fell, so that would be a good one to start. And we'll keep you advised of sections of the island that would be rather nice to have in your phones or cameras as a souvenir of your coastal passage today.
That's the view back to Folliel and Brodick and the wash from the ferry all the way back. There we go. Isn't that lovely? Look perfect and clean. Here I am at Corrie, and you can see the houses of Corrie, and just above them, if you're lucky, the houses of High Corrie as well, sitting just below Goat Fell. And there's a path that goes up just past the side of these houses, just to the left of these houses at High Corrie, a little clacking, and goes all the way up to the top of Goat Fell. It's a steeper path than the one from Brodick, but the little houses at High Corrie are beautiful. They're like unchanged for the last couple of 100 years, a little clacking, and they've got quite a long art history as well, artists staying there. Yeah, so I'll try and focus in on a few more of this properties in Corrie, see if I can get a good view of them.
How about yourself? You still up? You were up the Ryway at one time, you know?
I just bought a house a couple of years ago there. My house is there.
Aye, aye.
And then if I come around here,
Largs.
get up to the Corrie Hotel.
Dave the Rave.
Dave the Rave.
They're making a video of that, which is great. That's what they're doing. This is something that they're doing now.
They were saying this the first time for 10 years they've gone round the island. Which
And
is
the
why
beautiful houses in the centre of
Well,
Corrie.
here we are at
Very
Millport
pretty.
now, ladies and gentlemen. A section of the coastline of Arran that has a connection with the harbour, where a lot of the old, many hundreds of years old sandstone was used and taken across to the Ayrshire coast for the construction of Troon Harbour, and also for the construction of the canal away back in the dim and distant years. We're also passing Ferry Rock, which is just this side of the grassy field that you see there, the grassy bank with the blue van. That is where the Clyde steamers, like the Waverley pre-war, would hold to and just ferryland passengers ashore in small boats. That was the case up until the outbreak of the Second World War.
That'd be where I was when the sea trials were done. And the wave come over. The wake come over. It was very scary. I remember the fear yet.
It wouldn't always be easy to ferryland passengers here. It would be quite a hazardous business in the days, and I just wonder if it happened all the time, or if some of the scheduled arrivals and departures had to be missed due to prevailing weather conditions. There are many people associated with Arran, including some of our greats of our time. The one-time British Prime Minister Herbert Asquith called Corrie one of the prettiest villages in Europe.
He was saying there about the Waverley landing here up until the war. The original Waverley, which this one's named after, actually was destroyed at Dunkirk during the war, helping out with the battle against the Germans. And so this vessel was named after the one that was destroyed, and it was built in 1946 and completed in 1947 in Greenock, and named after that that ship that sank, sadly.
The very spectacular Glen Sannox for your cameras. On the left will be Cumbrae, on the right Castle of Ale. Cumbrae stands 2618 feet above sea level. You will also see Mentar Soon, 2706, 2706 feet. You will have on one side Glen Sannox, Mid Sannox and North Glen Sannox to view from here. And the name gave itself, of course, to some of the greats of the Clyde steamer fleet that served the island. The Paddler of 1892, the Turbine of 1925, and the very popular and still fondly remembered car ferry of 1957. And should we mention the current Glen Sannox, I'll leave that one to you.
We've got his picture. That's awful.
And there's Sannox in front of us there. Called Sannox because it was named
Also
from the sandy bay.
gentlemen, it is the Sleeping Warrior. But you'll also see a significant section of the coast now that is marked out by white poles. This is the Arran measured mile, which was established here in 1916 by the Admiralty. And it has some of the greatest ships navigating its passage here prior to entering service from the relative fleets that they were being put on the mile for. I could name a lot of ships that ran trials from the Clyde shipyards, from the Mersey and Camel Laird, and some from Arran and Roke and Belfast. But let's stick to one. Perhaps the most famous to all passengers on board has to be the trials in March 1936 of the three-funneler, the RMS Queen Mary for the Cunard White Star Line, who created quite a scene here, and tsunami wave of bow wash and propeller wash as she cruised up and down. And she ran her sea trials here in 1969.
Yeah, so St. Sannox got its name from the Vikings. It was called
Again,
the Sandy
if you turn
Bay.
your cameras to the stern of the Waverley and the view beyond the paddle wash, there's a view of the village of Corrie, Brodick Bay and the Holy Isle astern of us now.
Yeah, it got its name from the Vikings. Sannox has got a 9-hole golf course, cricket club, and most interestingly for me, there's the remains of a village at North Glen Sannox that was abandoned and cleared in 1829, and everyone went to Canada during the clearances.
So all the great cargo ships and the liners and the like, the warships, all ran their sea trials here.
Yes, I was saying, so they were abandoned, the houses were abandoned at North Glen Sannox and cleared in 1829, and almost everybody went to Canada. And in fact, there's a monument to them in the centre of Lamlash, where they've got the preaching mound, and the minister preached to them all before they all left the island for a new start, a new world. Interestingly, at the moment, numbers are going down quite quickly on the island again, probably about as fast as they were during clearances. The only difference is this time it's not enforced. They're just leaving because it's hard to stay. But it's the same problem, accommodation. There just isn't any. That's a wonderful view of the mountains up there, isn't it? Look at that. Just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. And we've left Corrie and Sannox behind. We're heading towards Lochranza now, and we're part of the way there. There is a path all the way along here, but what I'm looking at across there is the fallen rocks, and the path takes you along past them. All these massive boulders just sitting in the way there. In fact, I can see a couple of people sitting down with rucksacks there. And there's a path that goes all the way from Sannox around the Cock of Arran up to Lochranza, and goes past them. Right, so we're just halfway between Sannox and Lochranza, and the man beside me has just described these hills as plush velvet, green plush velvet, and I think that's quite accurate. They look amazing. You can just imagine, they're like springy. They just look alive, and contrasted with the blue sky above it. We're so lucky. We have got a perfect day in the end. It's just really, we're really enjoying ourselves here. I think we're just coming to Lagan Cottage. I think that's up there. I'll wait till we get closer. And here we are, most of the way to Lochranza now, and the wee cottage in its own. I think that's Lagan Cottage. And of course there are no roads, there's nothing around here. That's just a cottage sitting all on its own. Can you imagine living there right on the shore with nothing and nobody around? steep, almost vertical hills behind you, and just a footpath for access to it. Imagine that. Try to hold the camera still. There we go.
Quite a walk.
Right, here I'm just approaching Lochranza, population about 200, and this is where you can find Hutton's Unconformity from 1787. He was the father of modern geology.
From a different angle, certainly a section of it. Now, Lochranza was once a thriving fishing port, with a good sized fleet at one time, and indeed it was one of the biggest in western Scotland. Over 400 men made their living in the industry during the late 19th century. And if you look closely, you'll see the village's castle, built sometime in the 13th century for the McSweens of Knapdale.
Some view of the castle from here. That's beautiful. Yeah, so Lochranza, it gets the fewest sunshine of any village in the UK because it's surrounded by hills. So once in the winter, large part of the winter, it doesn't get any sunshine at all.
On the right-hand side again, behind the yacht, closer at hand, we can see over towards Skipness Castle and Skipness Point, marking the Kintyre and Argyll division of coast.
There's the Calmac Pier there. That's where the ferry goes to Clonaigue from Lochranza. Half-hour journey. Goes there all summer. Goes to Tarbert in the winter. I'll get back to what I was saying. That's the overview of the village there. You can see the hills going right round it. And the most shaded area in the entire world. That is it. You're looking at it there. With the fewest sunshine of any village in the whole of the UK. It's also got no street lights, so it's very dark in the winter.
There's a very fine view of Newton Point, the hills above, and the heather-clad hills of that section of Lochranza Bay.
Yeah, there we go. That's in front of us. And they've got a hotel and a campsite and a distillery in there. And of course the castle as well. I was caught in a tornado last year in Lochranza when I was out running.
So Waverley now
amazingly.
Up the area where the coastal road starts its way down the west of the island.
I've got that in another video actually, but I was just running along and then we just get swept off our feet and I had to take cover. And it disappeared as fast as it came in a split second. An actual tornado which was witnessed by other people in their houses went into hiding, took down all the trees and telegraph poles, even lifted a boat in the air. First time ever I've not been able to control my speed.
Calmac's Katrina coming across the Cumbrae south from Clonaigue on the Kintyre coast. Calmac have been connecting across the Cumbrae Sound to Lochranza for 50 years.
There we go. I'll just show you where we're going now. We're going round the north of Arran and we're starting to go back down towards Catcall, Purnmill and down to Blackwaterfoot eventually.
Catcall. This little village is huddled beneath the mountainside at the head of Glen Catcall. The whitewashed cottages here are known as the 12 Apostles. Were built in 1863 for the crofters evicted during the clearances.
That's right.
Next door to them is the Catcall Hotel.
Okay, so Catcall, there we are, it's in front of us. Catcall means Gully of the Cat, It's a Norse name, that's how it got its name, because there used to be wildcats there.
And each of the windows on the top floor are of a different design. At one time when fishermen were out in the loch and there was any problems at home, they knew exactly whose house it was that had the problem because of all the different windows that were around at the time. This was certainly the case when the fishermen were out in the hours of darkness.
So the 12 apostles, that was, they were built the houses for the clearances, for the people that were cleared from the land.
The building to the opposite side of the loch, in direction of travel of the Waverley, is Fairhaven. At one time a well-known bed and breakfast establishment that offered very fine food for anyone staying there.
Interestingly, the 12 apostles remained empty for 2 years after they were built, because they were rejected by the people that were cleared off the land, who were crofters, and the idea was that the landowner reckoned they would use these for fishing instead of working off the land, but that's not what they did. So they just relocated to other areas of the island, and these cottages stayed empty for 2 years and were called the Hungry Row as a result of that. Nobody lived in them, they were just rejected outright. We're just coming towards Purnmill. I'll just take the chance for a wee second to show you how busy this boat is. The top is completely full. I don't actually dare leave my spot because there's really nowhere to stand in this boat, never mind sit down. That's how many people are down there. The place is absolutely packed. There's not even standing space up there. And there's what's around me here. I'm told it's sold out and I'm not surprised. We're lucky to be on it though. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Yeah, I was saying, so I've lived in Arran for 39 years, since 1984. I've never been in the Waverley, even though I've lived here all this time, and I worked for Cumbrae for 17 years. So I've always wanted to go, and it's just been too busy as life gets in the way. So it's a real privilege to be on this today.
We'll give you as close a view from the Waverley as is navigably possible. Perhaps, just as perhaps, we'll get closer than she's ever been before.
Oh well, that sounds alright. Yeah, I was just saying, so I've not been on the Waverley since 1975, and that was when Glasgow turned 800 years old. There was a celebration, Glasgow 800, and that's the year the Waverley was taken over and sold by Caledonian MacBrayne, so all our school kids get sent on a Waverley. That's its first year of doing what it's doing currently, and I went to Millport, and I remember standing at Millport Pier in my shorts with a fake packet of cigarettes that I bought from a joke shop that was at the pier, with smoke that came out. I'm hoping the teacher would try and pick me up for smoking when I was 10 years old, and so it's a big deal. 48 years since I've been in the Waverley, and the last time I was on it, it was newer than the Caledonian Isles is now. And I even thought it was an old vessel then. It would have been built in 46, so it was 29 years old when I went on it in 1975. So, being that it's 48 years since I've been in this vessel, it's probably about time I thought I'd better go on it for another look. Now here we are, one of the quietest bits of the island.
Now the Waverley comes down past Imica towards Ballycine, and this is where we hope that the Waverley will take a wee turn for the good, because this is the section of Arran coast that's often not navigated, often seen just from a distance on the way to and from Campbellton, or in any previous circumnavigation of the island, much avoided.
Right, there we go. So, yeah, one of the quietest parts of the island. I'm just going to tell you a bit about this paddle steamer while we're on a quiet bit. Interesting that there are houses here that I didn't even know existed. There's one just behind that little hill there. But anyway, it's nice round here for parking motorhomes. I can see some over there. There's a lot of parking bays right on the edge of the sea. Okay, the Waverley is the world's last sea-going paddle steamer. Oh, people waving over there. Built in 1946, and after installation of the boiler and engines at Greenock, she completed her maiden voyage on 16th of June 1947. She was owned by Caledonian MacBrayne when she was gifted in 1974 for £1 to the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society. On May the 22nd, 1975, she carried out her first passengers in preservation, and that was the same day as Glasgow celebrated its 800th year in existence. She completed a rebuild in 2003, which returned her to her original 1940s style. Have a look there, you can see. In which she was built after grants from the Heritage Lottery Fund and the Paddle Steamer Preservation Society. New boilers were fitted in April 2020, which were delayed because of COVID-19. The paddle steamer visits several areas of the UK, including trips on the Clyde, the Western Isles, the Thames, the south coast of England, and the Bristol Channel, with calls at Liverpool and Llandudno. I mentioned that she was named after the previous Waverley, which carried out a heroic role at Dunkirk in May 1940 before being sunk in enemy action. The vessel itself has a triple expansion reciprocating steam engine that's open to view, powered by steam from her two massive oil-fired boilers. She can carry 860 passengers. Used to be a lot more than that, several hundred more, but because of the way things have gone, the passenger capacity has gone down as times have gone on. Health and safety and such like. The normal operating speed is 13 knots at 44 revs per minute. Maximum speed is 18 knots at 57 revs per minute. That's all my facts and figures there. It's just lovely. Some more houses up in the high on the hill there, which I didn't know.
Listen, I'm going in Radio 4 tomorrow.
Right, here's a man beside me. He's been talking away to me the whole time. These two here, great company. And anyway, he's got a little story to tell. So I'll just focus on these wee shadows down here. And we were talking about how we ended up on this side of the boat by chance for me. But it wasn't so much...
Well, I had to make a decision whether we were going clockwise round Arran or anti-clockwise round Arran. And I thought that to help me make my decision, I would ask a member of the crew.
Yeah.
And at Brodick, the first member of the crew that I asked said he didn't know. And I think he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
The second person was an officer, and he said he didn't know. So I said, I hope the captain knows which way we're going round Arran.
That'd be useful.
And he said, well, perhaps he does. I said, well, it would be a good idea if he did. That helped to decide, it would help to decide which side of the boat we were going to be on.
Well, I had no idea whatsoever anyway. I just randomly took a guess at this side. But we ended up together and done the right thing up. It's been wonderful so far. I like these shadows in the water here. Just with the white water going past it, you get an idea of how fast we're moving as well. It's making good progress, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Here we are at Duggery. There's Duggery over there.
Yeah, Duggery Lodge.
Duggery Lodge and the boathouse, and that is now a wedding venue. A source of it's the source of the most misery on the island and carnage and disaster. But it's a beautiful building, so if you're going to face disaster, you might as well face it in beautiful surroundings. And there we go, Duggery Boathouse. And behind it is the Gibbs House, the massive house that was built as a kind of hunting estate. That's a beautiful house as well. We'll just come into view in a wee second. Nice view of the hills behind as well. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. And again, quite a few hills and houses on the hill that I've never been up to before. They're kind of hidden away, known to the people who live in them, but not so much to people who just drive straight past along the shore. And the hills look beautiful with all the purple heather on it. Right up to the top of the hills there. Isn't that lovely? And back out here.
See the house
This is a wonderful trip. We're having a lot of fun here. Now I'll zoom in on the boathouse and the house behind it now. See if I can hold this camera still. There you go. Yeah, I'm getting told that's where the cafe is up there, and you get Cullen Skink, and they must be probably holiday houses, I guess. They've just been built. I'll take it up there and have a look about. Macquarie.
Macquarie consists of several hamlets rather than one centre. The district is known more for its ancient settlements than its modern ones. For scattered across the Macquarie Moor, just off the Port mouth, are the remains of prehistoric communities. The most northerly one of these is the well-known Arran stone circle.
Gosh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful over there? I'll just show you an R&B secret here while we're at it. There's the hidey hole down there.
A well-known golf club established well over 100 years ago as a spectacular backdrop of the Cumbrae Sound, the Millport, and those hills and mountains of Ben Bush and Ben Arran that we now see astern of us. He either loved golf or, like an old chum that sailed in the Waverley a lot, explained to me, he said, you know, it's a walk wasted. I tended not to agree with him, mind you.
Macquarie. And the hills behind. Look at that. I'll try again, hold the camera still, see if I can get that hill without the camera shaking about. Let's have a look.
This particular section of our voyage, round from the north down the west, the angle that we look at astern of it is equally good to that abeam of it. So I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, just to have a wee look behind the Waverley now and see that wonderful scenery as we leave Macquarie Bay astern of us.
But I would say you've got something.
Point that comes out from the land there, just off the port now.
He's talking about Drummadoon Point just coming up there. And it is just coming into view in the distance.
At the same time, the paper
You'll get a very fine view of Ailsa Craig with Drummadoon and the south of Arran in view. It's worth taking a picture of that for certain.
So we're at Drummadoon Point, and this is the site of the largest Iron Age fort on the Isle of Arran. And behind it is the golf course, which is one of Europe's only two 12-hole golf courses. There only are two of them in the whole of Europe, and one of them is just right here, behind that wee bit of shoreline there. A lot of birds on those cliffs. I can see a lot of movement on there. If I keep going for a second, we've got Ailsa Craig just coming into view there.
And coming into view now at closer quarters is the village of Blackwater Foot.
There we go. Oh, lovely. I see golfers out there.
High up to the golf course.
Yeah.
There's a flag. And I think that's the green for a hole called the Crow's Nest.
Oh, right.
And you play, it's only 80 yards long or something, and you play from right down at ground level, straight up.
Oh, right.
Vertically straight up.
Wow, that'd be something.
The Crow's Nest.
That'd be something. The Crow's Nest. No, I didn't know that. I've only tried golf once, to be fair, and I was utterly hopeless.
Blackwater Foot grew and prospered with the increasing importance of tourism. Today it's a pleasant Cornish-style village, based in its small sheltered harbour, which is a wee bit difficult to see, and dominated by the huge, very large white structure there. That's the Kinloch Hotel, overlooks the seafront.
It's lovely, isn't it? That's usually our first boat when we go over, we go and drive.
All in view.
Drummadoon Point, with goat fell behind. And round to Blackwater Foot.
There's the small harbour at Blackwater Foot coming into view now, with the road bridge going across the burn that comes down from the glen up there.
Right, there we go, the whole of Blackwater Foot, and it's got the Kinloch Hotel right in the centre, as you heard, and quite a few shops as well. It's the main centre of population around this side of the island, and there's been a lot of house building in recent years. A substantial number of new houses have been built around here. And it's just such a beautiful view from here.
James, you want to move out the sun? There's seats along here. Can you
I'll try and focus in on the Kinloch Hotel a little bit. There we go. Best I can do.
This business about being shy. Do you know what I think it's about doing good as well? I think it's kind of
So here I've got just a view of Ailsa Craig, an uninhabited island. Paddy's Milestone it's called, a home of gannets and puffins, and its microgranite is quarried for curling stones.
In 1899.
That's where the paddle steamer Red Gauntlet ran ashore in 1899. Gosh, we're quite far out as well. That explains why we are so far out then.
It does, because I was wondering.
Gosh. Because this is the furthest out we've been from the shore by miles, isn't it? We're very far away. So it must be really rocky or shallow out there, eh?
We're not too easy to calm down and relax a bit.
Turning out, just coming round that be not going to be another wreck. Right, we're just going round the very south of the island, and in front of me I can see the distillery with the kind of grass roof just up on the hill there. That's the new distillery. There's one at Lochranza as well. Nice location for it, right on the top of the hill there, isn't it? And then beyond that, coming up to the cliffs leading to Caledonian.
The next section of our voyage to view is that of Pennonhead and Cladda, and there it is now off the port bow.
I can see Plada Isle in the distance as well with the lighthouse just in the very far distance. See how close we get to that. That'll be really nice to see. We'll just try and get a better picture of the distillery for a second.
This is where the Islands Road offers spectacular views across the Lower Clyde. It rises very dramatically up the shore from Caledonian, and as I say, all the way along here, right through to the Cumbrae sound approaches from the south. The Island Road is wonderful.
Yep, I can testify to that. It's quite a hilly road round there. Right, let's try and get a focus on here. Right, in front of me I've got the Black Cave. That's the biggest cave on the Isle of Arran, right at the south of the island. Beside it is a waterfall, and it's only accessible at low tide because, as you can see, the entrance to the cave is right at sea level. Hopefully you can see that. I'll try and give you a better view. It's a bit difficult to hold the camera still. I'll stand up, see if I can get that. Okay, we'll try that. Maybe that's it there. Okay, that'll do. The Black Cave, biggest cave in the island, only accessible at low tide. It's got a waterfall just to the left of it, and it's worth the walk. But you can come from Caledonian, but you've got to go over a boulder field to get there. You can see that on the right in the cliffs. I don't advise that. It's not very much fun. You come from Colmorey, to get there, and you come at low tide. If you do get trapped in there, the cave does go up quite high at the back of it, and you kind of got an escape to get out of the way of the water. But that's the biggest cave. A guy called Russell Cheshire, who used to own the Caledonian shop, told me, and I tested it and he was right. You go there in the winter and the sun is shining down on Ailsa Craig. The sun shines right down on Ailsa Craig, across the sea, and in the door of that cave exactly at 12 o'clock. And I was there at 12 o'clock. I got a photo of it actually. And it's exactly 12 o'clock. Biggest sundial ever.
As we now come up to New Plada and its lighthouse from a more unfamiliar angle of approach line. Normally when the Waverley comes down here on Thursday that she comes down from Roddick, she turns just north of the lighthouse. So here's a unique angle for you rather than the normal one.
So yeah, as he said, that's Plada Isle just coming up. We'll get a close-up of that in a wee minute. And over there, it's Caledonian, which we're quite far away from because we're going around the back of Plada Isle. But I'll just zoom in a little bit, try and get a view of Caledonian. And there we have Caledonian, just going past from a distance because we're going round the back of Plada. You can see the houses of high Caledonian up in the fields above as well.
Oh my god. Well, the key distance between you would never think yeah, wow. So then the hotel must be straight across, yeah, straight over.
The name Caledonian comes from Saint Donan, who is reputedly buried in the village. In Caledonian you've got Caledonian Castle, which is a ruin. It's actually fenced off, so it's inaccessible to the public. You can stand close to it, but you can't go right under it because it's been fenced off for safety. And there's a hotel there as well.
There's no channel between Plada and the island of Arran itself, although you would be not blamed for thinking there could be a channel there that the Waverley could cruise through. Plada Lighthouse is one of the oldest in the firth. It dates back even before the clock by 7 years to 1790. It's now the property of the Northern Lighthouse Board, who administer everything from the south of the Cumbrae to the Isle of Man and up the west coast to Orkney. The lighthouse has a range of 17 nautical miles, which gives it a fair range in the hours of dark. It stands 29 metres above the island of Plada itself, and believe it or not, there's 128 steps to the light. What's a pity it wasn't 129. Just one short.
Yes, so
In behind Plada lies another village of the island, Caledonian, and its ancient ruined castle. Now we've seen two already, one that's still in use, Roddick, and we've seen the other one, the 13th century one at Millport. So we'll give you a closer view of Caledonian as is navigable and possible timetable restrictions of getting back to Roddick as well.
No, to Plada, no. Oh, we did. We did go to Plada.
Plada.
From here now, the island's coastal scenery becomes more familiar to Waverley passengers.
Plada Isle is uninhabited. The lighthouse is automated. It's just half a mile off the coast of Caledonian, and in fact 100 years ago or so, when the sea was slightly lower, people could walk out to Plada Isle at low tide. I've actually tried it myself, but I didn't manage it. I think it's a bit higher now, the sea. But it's very shallow between Plada and Caledonian, which is why we're taking the long way round. It was up for sale last year, 2022, for £350,000.
Photograph with the yacht making good speed under water there, with Claddagh Island and the lighthouse shining in the sunshine.
Yeah, that's nice. And the island was sold. 350,000 it was asking price, and it sold quickly. So I don't know who lives on it now, if anybody does, or it's a holiday island. Okay, so here we go. This is the back of Claddagh, going round the back of it with Caledonian behind it. Lovely. And what a day we've got for it. Look at that. Amazing. Perfect. Go back to Claddagh again for a second.
Good shot there, Dave.
Oh, it is. That's gorgeous. So that's left Caledonian back there in Claddagh Isle. And then we're going past this big range of cliffs that I've just never seen before between Caledonian and Whiting Bay. I've just never noticed they were there. Very impressive. A whole series of vertical cliffs with little houses right on top of them. Isn't that nice? Never get this view. Some view from that house up there. And then there's fields leading right down to the top of that cliff. It's an unusual view. And here we are, we're going towards Holy Isle, and Whiting Bay's just going to come into view in a wee second. Amazing.
A sea like mercury, also known as quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
Particularly behind it.
And the more familiar angle that we're all so fond of.
Yeah. Been right round the whole of that.
With the darker
Views from every side.
and the sunshine on those mountains, you'll get some spectacular photographs this afternoon.
You're going that way.
At the start of the village. There is no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that Whiting Bay prospered with the fortunes of the Clyde steamers that raced their way across the Clyde in their battle to take eager sightseers for holidays in Arran. In the early days of the last leg of the journey was by a rowing boat, which would either call at the ferry landing stage at King's Cross or Whiting Bay itself. By 1899, the steamers could draw alongside the villages used together. Good time then arrived in the 20s and 30s, when many of the hotels and guest houses around here were constructed. But it was all over in 1961. The Waverley made the last call at the pier, and that was it. The pier was dismantled, no longer required for modern age of car ferry and wood, as they all called the product instead of Whiting Bay. When you approach Whiting Bay from the south, as we are doing certainly here at the water of the Trip, if you do it by road, you come across the Ashdale Bridge, where the Glen Ashdale Buck emerges from the forest. One of Whiting Bay's main attractions. I'll point out where the old pier house was for you, just so you get your bearings. As I said, the Waverley was the last steamer to use the pier. When looking at photographs of Whiting Bay Pier, if you Google them at home just to get the point, there was no protection of any kind from the pier head to the road, or the pier head to the berth where the ships arrived. I just wonder if the complaints today has a quarter of a mile length of walk for folk to take in the bad
I
weather
remember getting on it with 500 people on it in a
just
storm
how
one
much
time.
that would have been the complaint
And I swear to this day, the boat, the captain put it in alongside the pier, hit the pier to help him stop it,
Oh, right, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then hit reverse and the paddles and through everything, you know.
Well, I mean, the pier was a quarter of a mile long, so he's right about that. There'd be a lot of people that would need help or would complain about that these days. Longest pier in the Clyde. I wish I'd seen it.
It's a combination of gasping and screaming.
That's right, that's a caravan thing.
So yeah, Whiting Bay is the third largest village in the island.
There's the Glen Ashfield Bridge and the bug coming out.
That is there, yeah.
Roughly a beam of the Waverley's Bridge now.
It's just there.
Sheena lived in that house, the grey Haroldwyn straight front. We're on the beam of it now. She lived there right on the side. Quite clean to extension on it.
And we ended up coming right down, and the crowd
Oh yeah, Whiting Bay, so it's 620 population,
there somewhere,
and Whiting Bay means between two headlands in Gaelic. It's got a golf club and a primary school and shops and eateries and a doctor's. And I live there, and I've lived there almost entirely for the last 4 decades. It's my favourite village. Try and focus in a wee bit on the properties in here. There we go.
Now, before it all fades away, ladies and gentlemen, and becomes obscured of sorts, there's the Arran peaks, all in view. From the furthest left, that's Ben Bush, to the right, Ben Tarshoot, the Achier Ridge, Goat Fell, all in the picture. Now, if you train your eye along the village of Whiting Bay, the direction of the Waverley's navigation, you'll come to a building with a portable-style window on the V-shaped roof. To its right is a little shed with a grey V-shaped roof. In between that was where Whiting Bay Pier came out.
Yeah, there we go. Go back out to the centre here. That's the centre right there. And that is where I live, right in the middle of that. And that's where
Not
the pier
quite
was.
as far as where the Waverley is now, but not that far away from it.
And there's the centre of Whiting Bay there, just where I live, where the pier used to be.
That's it. There's not many shortcuts.
I think we're going to go and find it. That would be really nice. But I've not been on it. We were drowned in a riverboat, but it's right beside the other side of it. And you can see the geological fault, whatever it is. The different, because I could explain them with the different rocks and understand it. But you could
Who formed a chapel on Foley Island.
Here we go, just going round King's Cross Point.
On this particular coastal route, on foot on the island. You'll see the Tibetan rock paintings, you'll even see them from the Waverley. The Holy Island Project as a charity has been able to fund the planting of over 27,000 native hardwood trees on Holy Island. Wild Eriskay ponies, soy sheep and goats forage in a much improved habitat on the island. And as I say, it has its own ferry, and I'll point out to you where you land if you go for a trip.
This is Holy Isle, nearly 2 miles long, half mile wide, and Mullach Moor is the highest point at 1,030 feet, and it was gifted in 1992 by Kay Morris to the Sami Ling Buddhist community because Virgin Mary had instructed her in a dream to do that, and now it's the centre of world peace and health. It's got 2 lighthouses on it, one of them as we just passed. We're getting a right close-up look of it here, and we're just coming to Lumlash. I'm surprised we're going on this side the whole Isle. I thought we'd have gone the other side, so this is a real bonus.
It came into its own in particular just after the war when Ronnie's pier was receiving much attention. The one that's just been removed, not the current one.
Which you would like to see removed at this title, but
Lumlash was the pier that was used for passenger use.
Is that for you? That was the noise that was going earlier.
It's like, no, it's not at all. It's my paper cabin.
Oh, right, it's true. Are you okay?
Aye, aye.
There's Cordon. Oh, lovely. Lumlash is the most populous place in Arran. 1,100 people. It's got a high school and council offices and a co-op. It's got the hospital and the lifeboat. It's got the ferry that goes to Holy Isle. And it's got a health centre as well. And a monument to the Arran clearances is right in the centre of the village.
If you look, ladies and gentlemen, to the left of Arran's Lumlash village, you will see very clearly St Bride's Church, built in 1884. Also, you will see that it's a very lengthy village now. The island that you came to pay your money to see, and if you have enjoyed it, then I'll be all the more happy. Thank you, and good afternoon to every one of you.
Sorry.
Here we are coming back into Brodick Bay. Just getting a view of Goat Fell and the castle again, just like where we started off. Gonna have a pan around. You can see MV Alfred just coming towards us. It's just left the berth. 5:55, it's due to go to Ardrossan. And we're due to get in at 6:20. So that's the view of Brodick behind. Just to the left of MV Alfred is the pier. What a perfect day we've had today. You can see the sun shining. I'll show you on the sea. Just off the line. The way this light is dazzling off the sea behind MV Alfred is quite special as well. The sparkling in the wake looks leaving. Isn't that lovely? What a sight. So this is MD Alfred from the Waverley on a trip right round the whole island. It's quite close actually. That's a good view of the Alfred, isn't it? Arran behind it.
Been in the Fed yet, Dave?
Yeah, a few times. Very nice.
The only time I've gone but I've missed it.
It's a good view of where we're getting there. The hills behind, nice, eh?
Yeah. One time, up at the Caledonian MacBrayne. I don't think you can book in that yet.
No, you can't, not after October.
I think it's still a turn up and go.
There we go. That's a nice view there. Lovely.
Right, can't afford.
That is lovely. There we go. Nearly in the bay there.
All passengers, please be aware that there may be some sudden movement as the ship berths. Thank you very much for sailing on board Waverley for today's special sail around the Isle of Arran. I think we can all agree that the only thing finer than the weather we've had this afternoon was the scenery and the landscape which we've all witnessed, as well as the Waverley herself.
Here we are coming back into Brodick again. The pier's just coming into view. The few times I've watched this boat, I've been standing on the pier instead of standing on the boat watching it. But it's nice to see it from here. And there's Brodick in the background.
Once again, ladies and gents, the Waverley's now at Brodick. Thank you for sailing with the ship today. Your support for the Waverley will help keep us sailing, and we thank you warmly for coming this afternoon. Please have your tickets ready in the gangway if you're leaving the steamer at Brodick, and wish you a safe journey to wherever you're travelling on the island. Good evening to you.
Okay, time to go. Gotta get my stuff together. There we go. That's me off on the pier. Finished the trip, perfect weather. One last look at the vessel before I go. Total sellout. Really enjoyed it.